Crisis is flashing danger, and America must change course, or our children are likely to end up paying the ultimate price. Russia also posted a $29 billion deficit in the first quarter as energy revenue plummets, and it could spell trouble for the country's military bills. Is Russia on the verge of a collapse? And a billionaire investor who predicted the 2008 financial crisis and the post-C-19 inflation spike is panicking, citing significant recessionary warnings. And Kamala Harris just made a huge mistake. We're going to get into all that in this video today. If you could, just do me a favor, drop a like for the video. Also consider subscribing to the channel. And for the best way to invest in gold or silver, be sure to hit the link in the description down below this video. So Russia posted a $29 billion deficit in the first quarter as energy revenue plummets. And this could spell a lot of trouble for the country's military bills. Now, some people were actually saying, different reports are coming out saying that Russia's running out of gas, Russia's running out of ammunition, and Russia's actually getting their butt kicked by the Ukraine. Now, at the same time, we've actually heard reports of the exact opposite of this. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think is actually going on? Now, Russia's spending jumped 34% in the first quarter to 8.1 trillion rubles, or $99 billion amid the Ukraine war. However, energy revenues have been plummeting. They have plunged 45% to 1.6 trillion rubles due to boycotts and to sanctions. And this is in spite of how many deals that Russia is actually doing with China. Russia's been providing quite a bit of fuel, quite a bit of oil over to China. And in spite of that, China's not actually able to fill the gap. And it's actually led to a 45% decline in their revenue. Now, billionaire investors who have, a billionaire investor who has predicted the 2008 crisis and the post-C-19 inflationary spike is seeing significant recessionary risks and a prolonged period of low asset returns. And so Paul Singer, he's sounding the recessionary alarm bells and warning of a very lengthy period of low returns. And this particular hedge fund manager said that the U.S. economy is facing an extraordinarily dangerous and confusing period. And so this is going to be a lot more painful beyond the higher inflation and higher interest rates that we're seeing out of the Fed. He's saying that there's a lot worse things headed down the pipeline. Singer previously called the subprime mortgage crisis, and he warned of the post-C-19 inflationary spike. So evidently, this guy has a track record of calling things before they actually happen. And it looks like he may be right again, unfortunately. So this billionaire hedge fund proprietor, Paul Singer, he warned investors of this prolonged market cycle of low returns. And in an interview with the Wall Street Journal editorial page, the founder of Elliott Management and one of the world's largest notable money managers said that the U.S. economy is facing a, quote, extraordinarily dangerous and confusing period, end quote. And unfortunately, the lower income is going to be feeling the brunt of this pain first. So just a quick, warning, everyone, prepare, stock up, financially stockpile your cash, make sure you're prepared, gold, silver. And as a matter of fact, speaking of gold, an expert actually sees a massive move in silver. And this is coming from an asset management firm. I can't pronounce the guy's name. His name is Jurg Keener of Swiss Asia Capital. He says that silver is trading historically at such a beaten down level. And he is anticipating that silver will be spiking here in the next coming quarters. So we'll see if that actually turns out. We actually did see gold crest above $2,000 an ounce. And so if gold is cresting over $2,000 an ounce, clearly there's an increased demand for gold. And as we can see, many other currencies across the world, I don't want to say across the nation, across the world, they're going back to how it used to be, where currencies were actually backed by a physical gold allocation. And we're seeing it with China. China's bought tons of gold over the past several years, and the demand for gold in China has picked up rapidly among many of the other BRICS nations. And so, we're looking at Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So I'm just putting it out there for you guys. Now, a teenager tried to sneak into Michael Jordan's 56,000 square foot home, which, by the way, his Michael Jordan's house is on the market. It's been on the market for a long time. You can look it up on Zillow or Realtor.com. And so anyway, a teenager tried to sneak into Michael Jordan's 56,000 square foot home, which is on the market and has a full basketball court, infinity pools, tennis court, cigar room. Police arrested a teenager for trying to sneak into Michael Jordan's Illinois home. So, Michael Jordan no longer lives in the house, and the house is empty, but it is up for sale. And if you look at the front of the house, you can see on the gates, it's got a number 23 in the iron gates. Kind of cool. So anyway, this giant house sits on 7 acres and has a regulation full court basketball court, tennis courts, and infinity pool. Police arrested an Illinois teenager for trying to sneak into the house. And 56,000 square feet. This is a crazy huge house. How big is your house? I mean, just think about it. If your house is like 3,000 square feet, this house is like almost 20 times a typical house size. Anyway, Kamala Harris just made a huge mistake. So Kamala Harris has been blasted for not meeting the Nashville survivors. And oddly enough, she failed to meet with any survivors or the family of the mass shooting victims that resulted in the political drama. The lawmakers' expulsion came after 3 legislators joined a gun control rally outside the state capitol and has moved into the House chamber and disrupted the proceedings. The protest wasn't January 6, 2021 at the U.S. Capitol, but again, no lawmakers joined the mob that day. And, quote, it was certainly an outrageous bid to intimidate legislators into doing the protesters' will, a gross violation of democratic norms that no lawmaker should join, let alone lead. So, Vice President Kamala Harris is in a little bit of hot water here. What do you guys think about this? I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on that. Vice President Kamala Harris was met with ousted lawmakers Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson at the chapel of Fisk University, a historically black college campus in Nashville over the weekend. The 3 have since been dubbed the Tennessee 3. So, I guess this is not going over well, at least in terms of Vice President Kamala Harris's PR. So this crisis is flashing danger, and America must change course or our children are going to be paying the price. And like dashboard warning lights on a car, federal fiscal indicators are flashing danger. It's time to pull over, lift the hood, fix the problem before it's too late. And that's the kind of service station assessment that we're performing in the House Budget Committee. Unfortunately, the fiscal repairs necessary to get us back on the road to financial health and prosperity require a lot more than a basic tune-up, is what they're saying. And it indicates that the nation's financial outlook is rapidly deteriorating following a 2-year avalanche of new spending that added more than $6 trillion of national debt and triggered painful historic levels of inflation, which we have all felt. Stimulus checks, child tax credits, federal level unemployment. We had eviction moratoriums. All sorts of stimulus has been pumped into the system. And, we saw PPP loans, Paycheck Protection Program, EIDL, increased EBT and SNAP benefits, all of these different forms of stimulus to kind of keep the can being kicked down the road as the economy was shut down. And many people have actually indicated that this is just way too much. And a lot of people who didn't necessarily need the cash, some people went spending, some people went on massive shopping sprees. This drove up the online revenues for many different online companies, e-commerce stores, FedEx, UPS. They were beyond busy making deliveries. And the other segment of the population, some people paid bills with this money. Some people actually took the money and invested in the stock market. In fact, this is one of the reasons why we saw a tremendous increase in the amount of stock asset appreciation in the stock market, whether it was the S&P 500, it was NASDAQ, Dow Jones, you name it. We saw people taking this stimulus money and investing it quite easily because most people have online brokerage and online investment apps on their phone like E-Trade, Charles Schwab, M1 Finance, Webull, Robinhood, you name it. And they were taking this money and they were either buying cryptocurrencies, they were buying stocks, they were buying ETFs, exchange traded funds, you name it, mutual funds, index funds, Vanguard, Charles Schwab. People were putting this money into the economy. People were putting this money into the stock market. People were putting this money into their homes. And, we saw basically an asset bubble. And this bubble included assets like paper asset stocks. We saw Bitcoin and many other. In fact, Bitcoin hit its record high during the pandemic. I want to say it was cresting in the neighborhood of $75,000 per Bitcoin. And we're a lot lower than that today. Let's just see where we are for Bitcoin. If we look up BTC price right now, we can see Bitcoin's price is at $30,000 per Bitcoin as of April the 11th. Now, the interesting thing, though, is if we look at a 1-year chart, we can see that it wasn't but let's see. So 4 months ago in December, Bitcoin was $16,000 for one Bitcoin. So if you bought Bitcoin back in December, November timeframe, and you held on to it to today, you made at least $14,000 per Bitcoin. So that is quite a bit of profit and quite a bit of capital appreciation if that happened to be you. But yeah, so big changes. And like I said, a lot of people were just taking this stimulus money and just putting it everywhere. And so we saw an asset bubble in literally almost all asset classes, the stock market, cryptocurrencies, real estate, certainly real estate. And, the demand for real estate went up so high and so fast, especially with record low interest rates for mortgages. People who already had owned real estate, whether it was an investment property or their primary residence, they ran out there and they got those sub 3% 30-year fixed rate mortgage rates, which are no longer available. In fact, we actually got two sub 3% fixed rate mortgages for our properties. And, so this cheap money, this was also a form of stimulus. And so this cheap money literally flooded into all of the markets. And so it flooded into real estate. And some people were flipping homes. Some people were buying homes that they couldn't previously afford, but because interest rates were so low, it made monthly payments very low. But what we're seeing now is we're seeing as a matter of fact, I just got a letter today from the county indicating that my house was reassessed. And so it went up in value. And so they didn't show in the assessment how much more my taxes are going to be, but it looks like the house on paper went up another 10%. So I won't be surprised to see my property taxes go up another 10%. Anyway, and I'm not the only one who's going to be seeing this. Anyone who has a property in the United States, for the most part, when they get their assessment in the mail, when you get your property tax assessment letter in the mail, it's going to show in most cases, because 90% of the United States saw real estate appreciate in the trailing 12 months. Now, if that happened, chances are your county is going to be looking to get some more money out of you, because these counties, they're thirsty. These states, these cities, they're looking to increase their tax revenues from you. So as soon as that property is eligible for reassessment, oh, you better believe they're going to go ahead and reassess that property and send you a property tax bill that was higher than what you saw the previous year. So make sure you guys are preparing for that. But yeah, so that is what is going on in our economy. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking. How are you guys preparing for the upcoming recession? I know a lot of companies, we've covered this in the past, Microsoft, Walmart, Redfin. There are so many different companies that have announced layoffs, and mainly in the tech sector, but it's not just the tech sector. And unfortunately, we're just getting started, and we've already received numerous reports that this recession is likely to hit toward the latter half of the 2023 year. So, this thing could last, historically recessions on average last about, I think it's like 9 to I think it's like 6 to 18 months. So I hope you guys are prepared. Let me know what you guys are doing to prepare. And also let me know if you guys need tips on how to properly prepare you and your family for what is coming down the pipeline. Make sure to check out the links in the description down below for the best way to invest in gold, and make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys on the next video.